Be seated, please. The Director, Chaplain Services Protestant, Lieutenant Colonel T.E. Ogbonyomi, Corps Commanders and Directors present, the Commandant, Nigerian Army Chaplain Protestant Training School, Deputy Directors, invited guests, senior officers serving and retired, participants, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. In continuation with series of lectures packaged for this year's Chaplain Training Week, we shall again be listening to another lecture titled The Prospects of Increasing the Chaplain's Capacity for Effective Ecclesiastical Responsibility, to be delivered by none other but Major General H.T. Wesley, Chief of Special Services Project at Army Headquarters. Before I invite the guest lecturer to deliver his lecture, let me acquaint you with an abridged version of his curriculum vitae. Major General Henry Tafida Wesley was born on the 27th of July, 1966 in Lagos. He hails from a town, Jen, in Karim Lamido local government area of Taraba State. He started his educational pursuit at Sudan United Methodist Primary School, then Jaka Primary School, Jen, in 1972 to 1974. He moved to Jos Township Primary School in Plateau State from 1975 to 1976, then to Army Children's Secondary School, Bonikam, Lagos, from 1976 to 1978. Then again, Army Children's School, Shaki, in Oyo State, from 1978 to 1979. Then he moved again to Army Children's School, Chindit Barrack, Zaria, from 1980 to 1981. For his secondary school, he went to the popular Nigerian Military School, Zaria, from 1981 to 1986. He was at the prestigious Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna, from 1986 to 1992, where he earned a bachelor's degree in biological science. He was later at the University of Ibadan from 2015 to 2016, where he bagged a master's in strategic studies. His promotion history includes commission as a second lieutenant, 12th of February 1992. He was lieutenant, 12th of September 1993. Captain, 12th September 1995. Major, 12th September 2000. Lieutenant Colonel, 12th September 2006. He became a colonel, 12th March 2011. Brigadier General, 12th March 2016. And on his current rank as Major General, 2021. Course attended by our erudite guest lecturer include Ordnance Officers Basic Course from January 1993 to July of that year. Young Officers Course Infantry, September 1993 to December 1993. Technical Store Specialist Officer Course here in Lagos in 1994. Junior Course in Jaji, 29 January 2001 to 1st January of that year. June of that year. Senior Course, 27 from 4th August 2004 to 1st July 2005. Material Management and Work Study here in Lagos from 9 August 2004 to 10 November 2006. Ordnance Executive Management course here in Lagos, 7 September 2012 to 30th of November 2012. National Defense College, course 23 in Abuja, August 2014 to August 2015. Our guest lecturer served for the following unit and held the following appointments. First, Base Ordnance Depot, Kaduna, where he served as adjutant, staff officer, and store officer from 1992 to 1997. Headquarters, 1 Division, where he served as aide-de-camp to the General Officer Commanding from 1997 to 1998. He was part of Nigerian contingent in Liberia and Sierra Leone, where he served as admin officer and adjutant from September 1998 to September 1999. He was at the Nigerian Military School Zaria as the adjutant from 1999 to January 2002. He was posted to the presidency, that's the State House in Abuja, as OC Armament from August 2002 to August 2004. He was at the Army Headquarters Department of Army Logistics as Staff Officer, Grade 2, Clothing and Store, from 2005 to 2007. He was again at 1 DIF, Base Ordnance Depot, Kaduna, commanding officer from August 2007 to February 2008. He was back to the Nigerian Army Ordnance School, Lagos, as chief instructor and the management course wing from February 2009 to May 2009. He was at the Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Jaji, as directing staff from May 2009 to May 2011. He was at the Nigerian Army War College as assistant director. He was, Nigerian Army NAWL, in Abuja as Assistant Director Operations from June 2011 to July 2012. He went back to headquarters, Nigerian Army Ordnance Corps, as Director of Provision from March 2012 to January 2013. He was Command Vehicle Depot from January 2013 to August 2014. Then back to headquarters, Nigerian Army Ordnance Corps, as Acting Chief of Staff from August 2015 to January 2016. Our erudite guest lecturer was at the Army Headquarters Logistic Base 3, Damaturu, as commander from January 2016 to December 2017. He was again at the Army Headquarters Logistic Base 1, Maiduguri, as commander from January 2018 to December of that same year. He was posted to headquarters Nigerian Army Ordnance Corps as Director of Equipment and Stores from January 2019 to February 2019. He was again at the Army Headquarters Department of Army Logistics as Acting Director Clothing and Store from February 2019 to March 2021. He was moved to the office of the Chief of Army Staff to the Nigerian Army Operation and operations monitoring team as head of that team from 10th March 2021 to 17th of January 2022. He was then moved to Defense Intelligence Agency as Director of Admin from February to July 2022. He served at the Doctrine and Training Command of the Nigerian Army as Chief of Doctrine and Combat Development from 2022 to July 2023. Then to his current position at the Army Headquarters, Department of Special Services Project as the Chief of Special Services Project Army from July 2023 till date. Major General H.T. Wesley has the following operational experiences. He was for ECOMOG in Liberia and Sierra Leone, and also participated in Operation Lafia Dole. His decorations include Past Staff Corps Dagger, Forces Service Star, Meritorious Service Star, Command Medal, Field Command Medal, Fellow, Defense College, member, Nigerian Institute of Management, and also he is a proud medal holder of Economic Community of East Africa Monitoring Group. His military travels include, he was in Uganda for the Armed Forces Command and Staff College Study Tour in 2005. He was again in Rwanda for the Armed Forces Command and Staff College Study Tour. He was at the United Arab Emirates in Dubai for leadership training. He was at the time in Congo, Brazzaville for National Defense College Study Tour in 2015. He was again in Gabon for Nigerian Defense College Study Tour in that same year, 2015, and again in United Kingdom for pre-shipment inspection in 2016. Our guest lecturer was in Sri Lanka for TRADOC Study Tour and also Bangladesh Tour. That's in 2023. Our guest lecturer is married to Mrs. Rejoice Wesley, and the union is blessed with 2 children, Fabi Miller and Inkafian. His hobbies include reading, listening to music, and keeping fit. The directors, sir, deputy directors, ladies and gentlemen, may we rise as I welcome the guest lecturer to the podium to deliver his lecture. The guest lecturer, sir.
Please be seated. Acting Director, can I remove my cap? Okay, thank you. The Acting Director and our host, other corps commanders, directors, distinguished invited guests, our soldiers, gentlemen. First of all, I want to thank the compere for that very long and generous introduction. He said I have 2 children. I've added 1 already. I have also read the paper presented by the last speaker. And the difference between the framework of his paper and my own are not so much different. So I've decided to approach it differently. When I saw that he put a lot on the theoretical aspect, I decided that what I'll be doing with you is a conversation rather than a formal presentation, so that after that we can talk about what I have seen. So I'll start by saying that for many generations, human beings have always tended to believe in something, whether it is God, whether it is something that is not even natural. Some of you know that in India, for instance, they have over 2,000 gods. They worship, water, cows, trees, some animals. So man has always depended on some form of body or power as a source of inspiration, something that will guide and lead him, to give him strength, to survive in this world. So Christianity, as we all know, is one of the world's major religions. But you know that the number of Christian denominations and factions that we have now have increased over time, isn't it? Good. So as time went on, the Christian religion continues to evolve. And right now we have, among several others, the Catholics. We have those who are, Pentecostals, the evangelists. We have Coptic Christians. You find them in Russia and some of those regions there. We also have, of course, ourselves, the Protestants. Now, the Nigerian army is a microcosm of the Nigerian state. What do I mean? In the Nigerian army, every local government, I'm not talking our state, every local government is represented. And indeed, every tribe is represented. So the Nigerian army can be said to be Nigeria itself. The Nigerian army represents Nigeria. That's what I mean by Nigerian army is a microcosm of the Nigerian nation. That is a small version of the Nigerian state. Now, and of course, we said Christianity has very different denominations and divisions, and the Protestant church is one important part of which we all belong. Now, over time, like I said, the Protestant church was established in Nigeria and institutionalized as a worship body for Nigerians and for Nigerian soldiers. If it happens in a Nigerian larger society, that means, of course, Nigeria is represented in the army, so the Nigerian army also shares that part. And over time, I said, however, and they have been doing well. You know, the church has been doing well until recently, isn't it? What has happened recently? People are beginning to feel that, you know, church is not necessary, or the church is not performing the roles that it's supposed to perform. Many of you are church leaders. You are aware that you are losing some members, even though you are getting some for one reason or the other. And so, even as an army, and indeed the leadership of your corps, has discovered that the reverence, the followership, and the respect that the church used to have, the Protestant church used to have, is now diminishing gradually for many reasons that we are going to look at later on. And the reason is that there are many social factors, many personal factors that have contributed to that. And I think it is in the light of making sure that the church is restored to its place of reverence, respect, and followership that the corps commander, your director, has decided that it is time for this kind of meeting to take place so that we could address these issues. And that is why the theme, Strategic Repositioning of Chaplaincy Protestant Nigerian Army for Effective Ecclesiastical Responsibilities, is developed with the topic which I'm presenting right now, the prospects of increasing the chaplaincy capacity for effective ecclesiastic responsibility. What are prospects? What do we have? What do we see? What can we do from what we have right now to improve on the responsibilities of the chaplains in the Nigerian Army? That is what the topic is talking about. What are the prospects? Do we have hope for the future? If we have hope, how do we key into those things so that that hope can be achieved? Now, this topic that I'm giving not only underscores the importance of this issue to the church, but also underscores the urgency. The urgency. Your director and your leadership have seen that it is important for something to be done. Not only that something should be done, but something should be done very quickly. Very, very quickly. And that is why we're all here today. So the purpose of my presentation this afternoon is to examine these prospects on how to increase our capacity for effective work. And my aim, naturally, is that I will do that, and I'll also make recommendations. And in order to discuss these issues, these are what the things I'm going to look at. We will look at how the corps has developed, the current social environment in which we live, the world in which we live today. I'll try to characterize it a little bit because that has an impact on the job that you're doing. You operate in the church, but you work with people who live outside the church. Now, we'll also ask ourselves, why should soldiers and their families attend military churches? Another thing we'll look at is the consequences and implications of those social environments. Those things that are happening, how does it affect the church? Of course, I will look at the challenges that you are facing, and then we'll look at the prospects that we will explore. So let me start with the overview. The chaplaincy of the Nigerian Army was established since 1953. Even me, I was not born by that time. And it was headed by a gentleman called Reverend H.W. Bolion. For those of you who have gone to your acting director's office, you see his name there. And over the period between that time and now, we have over 500 chaplains in over 150 military churches across the country. I'm sure it's more than that. If you go to the theater, we have some auxiliary chaplains who handle small churches. But on a official scale, this is what we have. Luckily, after Bullion, we had the first indigenous director of chaplaincy. He's Lieutenant Colonel Reverend Canon H.N. Hunter. He was there from 1960 to 1974. And I think he set the stage for all of us, which was followed by, of course, my own father, Lieutenant Colonel Right Reverend T. Boyomi. Like I told you, he's the father of your acting director, but he was also my dad too because of the relationship that we had established at that time. So what we are seeing here, the structure you are seeing, the core you are seeing was because of the foundation that was laid by this very noble man. Now, we know a brief about the history of how we came to this place. And over time, the roles of the chaplains too have continued to evolve, increase sometimes and reduce. So we'll look at the roles that you're supposed to play in both war and peace. So these are the wartime roles of the chaplains. Liaison between the commanders, the troops, and those in the rear. Evacuation of the wounded soldiers in battle. You are chief recorders of events and happenings. In war, every unit is supposed to maintain what we call a war diary. The war diary is at the end of the day, everything that's happened in that unit is going to be recorded. So platoon went out for patrol. They succeeded or they didn't succeed. Somebody died, this person is injured. That's what the war diary does. They also maintain the unit Bible during war. The next is you inform deceased families of the death or demise of their loved ones. It is one of your responsibilities. Because human beings are spiritual, one of the things chaplains do is to pray. They are prayer warriors to inspire soldiers spiritually to be able to be courageous, to do the work that they're supposed to do. The next is counseling. Army work is very traumatic, very difficult, and all of us don't come from the same sociological background. So it is your responsibility to look out for people who are weak, for you to continue to counsel them so that they can, walk along with other soldiers. Of course, the issue of burying the dead, because prayers are also required, is your responsibility. And you advise commanders on religious affairs. And you are also peace initiators. You can look at a situation in the barracks. Because you deal with soldiers and their families, you can feel the pulse of the soldiers. And because the commander is far away from them, you can tell him, like, Oga, this your policy is affecting the peace and the structure of the barrack. It is your responsibility. We are continuing with the wartime responsibilities, caring for internally displaced persons. For those of you who are in Maiduguri, you know what we are talking about. Even though that environment is predominantly a Muslim environment, but in other environments where it is mixed or we have Christians, that is your responsibility. You also advise commanders on spiritual matters. You conduct, of course, administrative duties, just like you do in your offices. The organization of this conference is administrative, and it was done by some of you seated here. You care for ex-offenders and convicts, people who are brought out of long detention or prison. But of course, if you finish from prison, you don't come back to the army. But long detention, of course, you inspire the person, encourage him not to be discouraged just because he was incarcerated. The next is you empower, you create youth empowerment programs in the barracks in conjunction with the commanding officers. I know you won't have the resources, but it is part of your responsibilities. People who live around the barracks, you can assist them. Those are the people called the needy. Then you liaise with civil denominations and other blocks. Like we're here now. Subsequently, we should have other people from other denominations so that we can also hear their perspectives. We're all working towards the same purpose. That's for the wartime role. Let's just see what you do in peace. During peacetime, we organize regular services, Sunday services, midweek services, prayer meetings. The next is coordinating of Christian programs and seminars. This is one of them. Leadership development. Every chaplain is a leader. How do you play your role? How do you play your role? You can only play your role well if you are developed through effective training, which this forms part of that. Education through Christian education discipline and programs. The website that was recently established today is part of the tools that we can use to pursue this. Spiritual advisors to commanders, even in peacetime. I've mentioned it in war, this is in peace. Economic empowerment programs, of course, visitations and encouragement. People are sick in the barrack. People are bereaved in the barracks. You heard, as a chaplain, it's your responsibility to be able to visit and encourage them. Now, these are also part of the peacetime roles, organizing workshops and seminars, visiting troops in the mission and peacekeeping operations. So we want to be able to see the Corps right now, organizing a team to visit all our troops. It's part of your responsibility. Tell the Chief of Army Staff, 1, 2, 3, 4 people, we go around. We're having some of our troops having problem of indiscipline, sexual exploitation in some missions outside Nigeria. We can set up a team from here in conjunction with Department of Operations to go in those missions to see what their problems are, talk to them, and in fact, bring feedback back to Nigeria and their families. It's part of your responsibility, and I think the Army will be very prepared to assist you. Leading social, religious activities, like weddings, sacraments, and others, this is your normal duty. Normal administrative duties, you regulate and harmonize all the doctrines. The doctrines are also changing from time to time. So you harmonize them so that there will be no conflict between and among the Protestant churches in the Army. Then, of course, we interact with other faiths. So there are certain pertinent questions we'll ask. Having seen the war time and the peacetime responsibilities, these are just a few questions that I've decided to ask. Are we currently performing these roles at the moment? All these roles, are we performing them? We pick each and every role that I've mentioned during peacetime and wartime. Are we performing them? If we are we doing so effectively? Next, are we capable of performing these roles based on our competencies and experience? Do you think you have the competence and the experience right now to perform those roles? So some of those roles, you are not performing them because you don't have the competence and experience. So if you don't have the competence and experience, what do you do? The next is, do we have the number of men and women to perform these roles? You see, we have over 500 churches. Not just the church. Every church is supposed to perform those litany of responsibilities I've mentioned earlier. Or are these roles that I said you should play, are other people doing that role already in the field? For those of you who have gone out, why are they doing that? And are some of those roles still relevant? Are they too many for us? Can we increase? Can we reduce? So those are questions that you should be able to ask yourselves. As we go on, we'll look at them critically. Now, who is a chaplain? When they say this man is a chaplain, this is who a chaplain is, among other things. You are a mentor. Have you produced somebody like you? Have you inspired anybody who is working under you or working around you to be the best that he can be? You are not successful until you are able to mentor somebody. You are not successful. until you're able to mentor somebody. That's what you do as fathers. Every man at the peak of your accomplishments, what you ask yourself, did I raise good sons and daughters? Because you're supposed to be their mentor. If you did not, even if you have money, you will feel a sense of failure and lack of achievement. So who are you mentoring right now? You should be a mentor. The next is that you should be a confidant. When a soldier has nobody to talk to, he can't talk to his RSM, he can't talk to the CO, he can't talk to his company commander. You must make yourself available and willing to listen to him so that he can confide in you. We have seen soldiers or members of their families commit suicide in a place where we have chaplains and nobody is aware. We are not saying that you can see through somebody's mind, but you must make yourself very available. Dispose yourself that it will make it easy for somebody who has problem to meet you. You are a father. We call you father, even if you are a corporal or you are the chaplain of the church. The commander will call you his father. Our soldiers call you daddy. The mothers call you daddy. So you might be small in age, but you have a spiritual responsibility that has elevated you to the point of a father. So you must look at that. And a father does not discriminate among his The next, you're a friend. A friend. A person can meet and discuss any issue, any social issue that is worrying them. He can confide in you. You can also talk to him to inspire him. If he needs something, you can assist with. Just what friends should do. And you are supposed to be a feedback mechanism for the Nigerian army. Like I said, if soldiers are going through a problem, if they say, for instance, a unit has been earmarked to be deployed to maybe Maiduguri or to a very difficult environment, what is happening in the barrack? Because you're a father, friend, and mentor, you are supposed to hear. Are soldiers afraid? Do they trust the officers that are going to go with them? From the way they talk, from the way they confide in you, you will know. And you will have that privileged information and pass it to the commander in order for him to use it without putting the person who told you that information at risk. No commander will tell you, say, you must tell me who told you. It's not possible. You can stand by that. No commander can force you to tell him who told you so and so. Sometimes we have in a unit where the officers are irresponsible, and it is causing social problems in the barracks. Maybe they have activities with soldiers' children or their wives and all that. It's causing problem. You hear, you call the CO, you say, sir, there's a problem. That officer, that senior NCO, is not a good man. It's causing problem. Spoiling soldiers' children, encouraging bad character. So you have to do something about it. It's supposed to come from you. You're a very, very important tool for the commander to have a feedback. If he's commanding well, you should know. You should tell him, Oga, you are doing good. I encourage you. Or, Oga, correct that part. This part is good. This one, if you say problem, this, sir, make you correct him. That is, who you are. You're a very important feedback mechanism. So if the commanders are giving orders at the top, they need to hear what the last man is feeling about it. That responsibility is your own. The army does not have any other structure of getting that information. So if they say that army headquarters or the army leadership is not concerned about soldiers, ask yourself, why are they not concerned? Are they aware? If they are not aware, it means that you are failing in part of your responsibilities. So this is what, I'm sure there are other things the chaplain should be to others, but these are a few that I have started to list. So you should always ask yourself, are you a friend? Are you a father? Are you a confidant? Are you a source of feedback? You ask yourself these questions constantly. So what can you do on an individual level to prepare yourself for the peculiarities of this assignment? The Corps can organize courses for you, programs, seminars, and workshops, but it's certainly not enough. Anybody you have seen excel in this life has gone outside the statutory structure of learning to add additional information. And these days, there are many books that you can buy. You can go online and do courses and improve yourself. So in order to improve yourself, to make yourself ready, these are some of the things you can do, not all. Develop yourself intellectually by reading, by interacting with people who know better than you. Don't be proud. Be humble, learn from people who know better than you. Be in touch with commanders. There are a lot of information that commanders can give you. What will this information do for you? It can shape your messaging and the kind of message that you preach. Just like you give him feedback, he gives you certain things. He said, I've discovered that my soldiers don't have courage. My soldiers are lying. They don't drink a lot. Every time they are fighting in town. What can we do about it? So you now go and sit down. When you are preparing your program and your sermon, you target your sermon to serve. You are not just a priest, but you are a chaplain. A chaplain has more responsibilities than a normal priest. A priest can preach based on inspiration on his own. That's what inspires them. But a chaplain is not like that. A chaplain provides targeted messages. The army is going through a lot. The country is going through a lot. Soldiers are under severe pressure. They are serving outside where their families are. And some of them are marrying new wives there. They are having children. They are getting into drinking and smoking. What kind of message are you providing that will help them to remain strong and faithful to their families until they return back to their base? If they are given a task to do and they are always afraid, they don't show courage. Officers, they say we are going for a mission, and the CEO sees that all the soldiers' face is looking very gloomy. They are all afraid. What kind of message will you give? You will start from the fact that, look, you know the logo of the Nigerian Army, what is written under it? Victory is God alone. The army recognizes God. Nobody understands God more than a soldier, because he's the man who is faced with life and death on a daily basis. So if the army itself has decided to put, victory is from God alone, you should understand what that means. So that's your response. Be in touch with commanders. As the commander is telling you his own fears and anxiety, his own challenges, God will give you the spiritual discernment to understand and provide a message that will both help the commander and the troops. Or he wants to take a difficult decision. Soldiers have committed offense. I say I'm going to dismiss all these 10 soldiers. You know the implications and the consequences. He has finished, you go back in the evening, you pray with him, then you speak to him. I say, sir, when you take this order, it is good, that's what the law says. But the implication can be far-reaching. It will affect the morale of the soldiers. Their families will be depressed. You know what to say. So that is very important. Only you can do that. No other officer can meet that commander. But when they tell him, Oga Chaplain is here, he must listen. Are you playing that role? Heck. You should include, of course, visitations to hospitals, homes of the bereaved. Don't just sit down in the church. You're a big man. Anything that happens, sometimes the person is not a member of your church. He's a Catholic or a Muslim. You prepare 1, 2 of your staff. You go to visit. Say, I'm so-so and so-so person. I'm the chaplain of the Protestant church here. We heard that you lost your wife, or you lost your husband, or your child is sick, or so-so thing has happened. We have come to encourage you and to pray with you. God will strengthen you. God will heal you. Can we pray? Even if he says he's a Muslim, you still pray. You will not know. That will be the evangelism that can bring him to your church. It takes nothing. It takes nothing. So you ask yourself, are you doing that? Not that it's only on Sunday they see you. No, you should be out in the field. That's what Jesus Christ did. Was he preaching in the church? The next is avoid corrupt practices. That is the only thing that can, a chaplain is a man of integrity and honor. So if there's anything that is like a corrupt practice that is associated with you, your respect and your honor will be diminished. And nobody will want to go and worship and serve under somebody who is corrupt. It is something that we should avoid. Then you should develop physical and spiritual resilience. There's a lot of temptation. The moment you tell yourself that I'm prepared to serve God, the devil will raise up a division of devils. I say, this one, we must bring him down. So don't think because you are a man of God that you will not have challenges. You must develop resilience. I will tell you a few things that I know. Physical resilience, of course, from temptation. I know women, girls, their own objective is to destroy men of God. They say that when they preach for television, they say, man of God, I will know what I will do. They will target you. In the environment in which you work, it happens. Either with money or women come. I have a very big pastor in Nigeria. Before he became big, anytime a woman is coming for counseling, his wife must be sitting down there. But he became very busy. The wife too became busy. That he cannot have his wife present every time he's counseling a woman. So what he does is that he told his secretary that anytime I'm counseling a woman, every 5 minutes, you will knock on that door, you will come to the office and come and drop one paper and go back. Gentlemen, they pray against sexual sin. I'm sure you know. The answer is to do what? Good. So, of course, spiritual resilience, prayer. Avoid the place of temptation. It might be in the presence of a man who has a lot of money and he wants to use you. People use pastors. He wants to use you. So physically avoid those places. A place that exposes you to temptation, don't go there. A man that exposes you to temptation, negative utterances, distractions, avoid those kind of things. Your phone, now only you get them. Only God knows what's in there for our phone. You must develop phone discipline. They say the mouth speaketh out of the abundance of the heart. What is on the phone is what you use to fit your heart and your mind. Be careful. Careful. You must discipline yourself against this phone. People can reach you. Before, a woman won't like you, she go come meet you. Now she go send picture. Your phone. Somebody can call you or send you a message of distraction. So you must be able to do those things. This, as simple as it is, they are very, very, very important. We know what has been happening around, and everybody is supposed to work towards that. These are a few things that you can do for yourself in addition to others. Now, why should soldiers attend military churches in the barracks? Most soldiers in the army, in the barracks, their problems are always uniform. No be so? No be uniform they wear. I mean, it's the same. Now, at the same time, they pay on a salary. No be so? Now, at the same time, when our children, they go school. It's the same time. It's at the same time that you're broke. Because they give you money at the same time, your spending pattern is the same and all that. So, soldiers attend churches, military churches, because you give them the kind of messages that is important to them. I just mentioned interaction with commanders. Is that not so? To encourage soldiers to do their work honestly, to be courageous in their work. If they go to civilian churches, they don't hear those kind of messages because it does not address their peculiar issues. So that's why we have the chaplaincy, because the chaplains know what the issues are. And you're supposed to provide the spiritual guidance for them. So soldiers attend our churches because of this. The next is to prevent indoctrination by negative influences that employ psychological warfare. You'll be surprised. A congregation thinks the way their pastor. You know what has happened in you remember the Guyana tragedy, where somebody said he's a man of God. He went and made everybody to commit suicide. That it is time for rapture. All members of the church were killed. And that's why we say that should come to the military church, so that we give them positive and responsible messages to protect them from what is happening. Otherwise, when we allow them to go out, they will bring those kind of doctrines into the barrack and contaminate everybody. The next is it enhances comradeship and comradeship spirit, that's esprit de corps, which is useful for administration and also in combat. You are in the barrack, you are serving with a particular soldier, you attend the same church, you are in men's fellowship, you sit next to him. If tomorrow you find yourself in a difficult environment and he's injured, can you allow him and run away? Because you know that you know his wife and you know his children. This is your friend. So it also is part of enhancing comradeship. In the office, if we say we should sit now, we'll be sitting according to sergeants here, staff sergeant, corporal, lance corporal. But when you come to church, we do what? We mix. So it creates a different kind of bond. I've seen many of you here today that I've met in the many churches that I've served. The way you approach me will be different from a soldier that has not known me before. Is that not so? Exactly. And when I see you, of course, I'll stop. I'll be excited because you remind me of our last meeting. And of course, other things can move on from there. The next is to secure them against physical or targeted attacks. If they know that 20 soldiers used to attend one church somewhere, outside the barracks, you can be targeted by terrorists, armed robbers, bandits, kidnappers. You understand? So we keep you secure. We keep soldiers secure in the barracks so they can worship, in peace and in a safe and tranquil environment. That's one of the reasons why soldiers need to worship in the church. Then, of course, easy mobilization. The Yom Kippur War took place in 1973 against the Israelis, isn't it? They were attacked on the day of their religious celebration. It was easy for that country to mobilize in 24 hours, and they were able to win that war. If that war had taken place, if that attack had taken place, and most of them were out in different places, mobilization will have been very, very difficult to do. Sometimes when we cannot pass messages in between official times, we can pass those messages during the church service for people to know. You close, tomorrow they say something is going to happen in town. And the CO did not know on Friday, Saturday, or he knows on Saturday. The only forum, instead of saying call Doba or Parade or Tattoo, you say, look, those who are going to the mosque, tell them this. Those who are going to the church, tell them this. Something like this is going to happen on Monday, don't go. So we use the church too as part of that. Of course, it enhances family bonding within and among families. Your wives and your children, they have become friends because of women fellowship, Sabonrai, boys brigade, girls brigade. Some of those relationships have grown. I just came back from Jalingo a few days ago. And there's this organization they have now, Barrack Soldiers Association. Abi? Good. And they're already doing well. They have started organizing themselves, creating jobs, teaching others who are not very strong, vocational skills. And that can take them to the next level. Those are the children in the barrack that were able to make friends when they met during all these church programs. So it is not a wasteful enterprise. So it enhances family bonding within and among families. So apart from you, soldier to soldier, your wives know themselves, your children know each other, your wives know each other's children. If your wife is standing, she see another person's daughter entering somebody's house, because she knows the mother, you say, hey, go back to your mother's house. Because she doesn't want her friend's daughter to be spoiled. The same thing, likewise, on the other side. So, church in the barracks provides that for our soldiers. So, of course, there are many other reasons why soldiers should attend church in the barracks. These are just a few. Now, what are the social conditions that makes our work very difficult? Multiplicity of churches and denominations. On Sunday, in every barrack, you see more people going out of the church, out of the barracks, than those coming to the church in the barracks, especially where the barrack is in a town, because of different kind of churches. You know the rest. You know more than me, so I'm not going to list the differences of the churches. So people now have options. Christians now have options. The question you should ask yourself is that, why should they choose my church? Why should we come to Protestant instead of going to the other churches? And those churches, they preach attractive messages. So what do? There are questions that all of you here, only you can provide us with those answers. The environment is also one that some people don't even have any religion. They have apathy for religion. They don't worship anything. They say Islam is a lie, Catholic na lie, Protestant, among the youth particularly, they are not interested in church. Because if you look at social media, there are people who preach, self-determination. That whoever you want to be, you can be. You don't need God. There are a lot of people like that, and they are all in the environment that you work. Then, of course, deviant behaviors. People who do drugs, LGBT community, LGBT, when I know that about lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, all those people. Man, you go say be woman. Woman go say she be man. So that is the environment. It is in the barracks. If you don't know. Okay. You see girls having their girlfriend. Boy, now the other boy being boyfriend. You have to look out for some of those things. The next is social media messaging. I've mentioned it before. There are a lot of people who pass doctrines now through social media, because every child, now every young adult has a phone and is with that phone 24/7. So you must take note of that as you are shaping and creating your messaging. Of course, now people are desperate for money. Yahoo is there. We have them in the barracks. They just arrested some Air Force personnel a few days ago, I was told. So people want to make money by all means. Those kind of people, they are also in the church. Soldiers in the barrack do not come from moon. They are all part of Nigeria. They are also influenced by the kind of things that influence people outside. Most of those kind of people are in the church. How do you preach to all of them? How do you manage all of them? Another is post-traumatic stress disorder. This one is very common. We're having it already. You know that some of our soldiers that went to the theater, when they come back, they understand them again. Before him, they talk. Now they talk. Before they beat his wife. Now they beat his wife. Before they drink. Now he drinks. Before he doesn't go out. Now he's going out. All these are signs. You'll be the first person to notice. If you don't notice, perhaps his wife would notice. But if you make yourself accessible, the wife can come and tell you, "Okay, this is my husband, since he come back, he never sleep with me. Or they eat my food. Or they talk. Or for night, they feel sleep till 4 o'clock. You hear those kind of things. And those people, you find them also within your church. Disparity in teaching and understanding of Christian doctrine and principles. This one, if you carry 20 different Christian doctrinal books, they speak differently. They will connect at a point, but before you know, everybody's already going at a tangent. So this issue. As you are teaching people in the church, when they go back, they have their phones and they also buy books to read. What do you tell them? Of course, materialism. Most people have left army church now. They want to go to a place where they tell them, you will make money tomorrow. They will call you from London. And next tomorrow you get visa. You know? Prosperity. Everyone want to hear what will make his stomach to be happy. I tell you, when I enter a church and I go out to my house, if I'm not convicted, nobody should come to church and go and be leaving church and be dancing. No. You have not achieved the aim. You are supposed to make people sober when they come here. Praise and worship, lovely. Singing, beautiful. But when it comes to messaging, it is hardcore. You don't take prisoners when it comes to messaging. Because what you give us on Sunday is what is supposed to carry us up to next Sunday. Don't give message that after church, when we don't chop lunch for house, we don't forget. No. Give us a message that we will think about. That's why we come for service. We are not coming to the church to serve God when you come on Sunday. Because you don't serve God in the church. You serve God with your life outside the church. A Christian is seen outside, not in the church. The church is like a petrol station. Do you drive inside a petrol station? You come and collect fuel, then you go and drive. When you finish, you come back to a petrol station. That's why they call it service station. So when we come to service station, it's like Beku going to service station to collect fuel. When you give us message on Sunday, we follow them, the thing don't begin to fade. Another Sunday come, we come back again. We fill our tank. We move out. That's how it is. You understand your role. So we dance. Yes, it's good. But that's the message. I don't leave my house. When they say, don't come to the house of God empty-handed, it does not necessarily mean that you must come with money. You should come with a need. The greatest work that a member of the church will do is what he does before he comes to church. All of us here, our issues and challenges are different. But the pastor or the chaplain preaches one message for everybody. What does that have? What does that tell you? When you are coming to church in the morning, I tell people, come to God with a specific problem. God knows they do. He doesn't do anyhow. God is very specific and is very focused. Before you come to you, I say, today, this problem of sickness of my family, God, give me a word for it. Give me a word for this issue of lack of unity in my family. So when you go to church, the pastor has prepared his message. But as he goes over that message, either through inspiration or coincidence, he will hit on family union or health in the family. That word is your own. Is that not so? That's why you see when you are preaching, somebody will say, yes. That is because you have hit his own. He has collected his own. He has come with a purpose. So as you are preaching, what verse did you quote from that? He takes it. That's what he takes home. So you must also prepare your members of your church on how to benefit from your message. Some of you are already writing. That's how you should be. Encourage people in the church, in the church, to write. Not to write everything from good morning to no. People write because that word that came for you, what was the statement made by the pastor? And what part of the Bible did he quote? That's why you take notes. So you go on with it and meditate over and over and over it. So that's how we prepare. Let's go back to the slide. So a lot of people in the environment are suffering from this. People want to make money without going through the process. God is a God of process. God is not emotional. All of you know that. You can lie down on this floor and roll here and be weeping for months. God will not respond. You will ask yourself, this situation that you are in, what did the Bible say about it? Once you go to the Bible and you do it, God will do his part. That is why unbelievers also succeed. Because God is a God of principle. He said you honor his word more than his name. If you do what he says you should do, he will do what he says he's going to do. But just because you're a Christian, you cry from morning till night, God, look at me, yeah, I'm suffering. That's not the solution. He says, if you are suffering from this, do this, this, and this, and this. That is why your role is very important. So that you teach us how to pray aright, how to seek God, and how to serve God. God is not emotional. God is not emotional. God is not emotional. Some of us, we know God, but because of faith that we have abandoned work. The other people on the other side, they don't know faith, but they know work. They know work. It is work that they know. It is not easy to wake up every morning at 5:30 and pray 5 times a day. Some of us, even as chaplains, we know how difficult that is. But they are nothing. But they would rather die than not to pray that 5 times. If you are God and you are looking for your son who says he has faith. I know many rich people whose children are spoiled, but the children of their drivers and houseboys are responsible. They gave their inheritance to the children of the house. Because when they give it to their children, those on what? Under it. So teach our congregation to drop materialism. Once you do what you're supposed to do, there's a stage for everything in life. There's a time to go to school. There's a time to learn skill. There's a time to learn humility. There's a time to make money. You cannot want to make money before you go to school or before you learn skill. So all those things, like I said, you saw your roles and what you're supposed to do. You are not just a man of God. You're a father, you're a teacher, you're a mentor, you're a counselor, you're a guardian. Of course, poachers. You invite some people to your church. Most of these big musicians you are seeing in the town, they are barrack boys and girls. You invite people to the church, they see a young boy or a young lady who sings very well, who is doing very well. They attract the person to their church. Give them money, pay them. Before you know, that one don't go, she don't carry, or you don't carry in friends from the church. Go on. So there's poaching that goes on in the church. It's also not every preacher that you bring to come and use your pulpit. You get my point? So you must be wise. Wisdom is profitable to... Of course, financial impropriety, I've talked about that. Be careful with money. People will respect you as a chaplain. Once you begin to touch money, you're not accounting for it, there's going to be a problem. I don't want to talk too much on that. Then what are the consequences and the implications of the current social environment? I've mentioned that they are poaching people, people are going. What happens? That means the pews in your church will be empty. Don't be so? There's male apathy in the church. Why is there male apathy? Any church you enter, there are more women and children than men. Why? I know that there's duty, there's operation, but even before then, we still had that problem. If you're a lieutenant colonel or a major, don't come and say, General, sit here in the church, corporal, lance corporal. Then do Oga for the man for office. Then come church. He will not, some soldiers won't handle it. You understand? Have a way of creating a convivial environment in the church. Don't create too much seniority. Don't say there's this committee, only that general and I ain't go handle them. You can talk to the general, you're not embarrassing him. So I want to give this, the head of this, your committee, to this warrant officer. But you are very important in that committee. If I give him, if I give you, there might be issues, but help us to support him to succeed. You see that things will work. Use diplomacy. But everything for church, now senior officer. No. Then you, when you are speaking, you are a senior officer, you are talking to a private in the church. You are not talking to a private. You are talking to a member of your congregation. Speak to him with love and empathy and respect and care. Otherwise, you say, OC, insult me for office. I come church, chaplain, insult me. Make I stay for my house. You understand? It is very important. If a senior officer is being high-handed, call him to the side. Oh, God, I have important thing to discuss with you. Okay, when you come church, you're supposed to, this kind of thing, they make people not to be very happy. You tell him what you want to tell him. With respect, but tell him. You are the leader in that church, not the commander. Once you get to the gate, you can take over his command from there. But you will do all that you can to make sure that people come to that church and your pews are filled. So, male apathy, we should work on that. Loss of military members to non-military churches, I've told you, through poaching, attractive messages, get rich quick, things can happen. You have to warn them about that. The moral decadence in the barrack due to diminishing moral standard. You are the moral compass of that unit. What is happening between boys, girls, men, and women? From complaint that you'll be hearing, if the complaint is increasing about immorality, you know that there's a problem. So you start shaping your message. You start talking to the commanders more. You start looking at ways and means by which you are going to address that. Moral decadence is a serious problem in the barracks. It can cause murder. Somebody sleeps with a soldier's wife, he knows he will keep quiet. They go for exercise or training, you fire him. I'm just telling you. We have had many of those issues before. There are issues, social problems in the barrack, they will take you to the field once he has an opportunity, before you know. Whether he set him up for people to injure him or he injure the person himself. So a small matter that looks like a small moral problem has now become a life and death issue. So these are some of the consequences of the very terrible social environment that we operate in and why we need to look at our jobs very seriously. Now, what are the challenges that you have? Like I said, inadequate training. Some of you are young. You enter the army after 5 years or 6 years, depending on, then they give you a small group, a church to lead. That is an issue. How can we address those issues? Like I said, inadequate training, inexperience managing people. To know the word of God is different from knowing how to manage people. You must separate it. So you must know how to manage people's temperament. You must know how to manage shy people, proud people, arrogant people, wicked people, good people. You must know that skill. You must know that man management. Did I touch something? Good. So some of the points you have, this inadequate training is based on inexperience, inadequate experience in life, and few years of service. If we employ you, if you are commissioned as a priest, you already know priest work. Your life in service, your experience as a military man, knowing the character and the behavior of soldiers, is only as long as you have joined the army. So sometimes you might have a good message, but it is not properly packaged for the right audience. These are some of the issues you have. And of course, naturally, we know what the solution will be. Superiority complex. Stop giving orders and insulting or harassing your juniors in the church. Who are your juniors militarily? I've mentioned before, don't use your rank in the church. You're a senior officer, let a private and a boy in the barrack have access to you. Sometimes you might not want to accommodate. This military thing go and come. Say, my friend, do you even know who you are talking to? No. In that short moment of anger, that expression of anger, he will feel that you're trying to shame me as Oga. His only response will be to stay away from you, and so stay away from the church. So no superiority complex. Morality, financial misappropriation, lack of empathy, immoral activities. Stay away from people's wives, people's daughters, people's husbands. We don't want to hear that. Inadequate supervision, you must supervise. If you're a chaplain, you have people under you, whether they are auxiliary or normal church workers, they must work in conformity with your direction. Supervision. Nobody should take up responsibilities that you did not give him. You can counsel a man alone. Don't counsel a woman alone. Don't ever sit in your office and tell somebody's wife that she has complaint. If she's going to come, woman, come with head of women fellowship. Otherwise, your wife will be there. Don't sit in your office and entertain any talk. Whether the issue is serious or not serious, don't have anything to do with somebody's wife or woman alone in the office. Like I said, why is this happening? Inadequate. No sanctions. We hear a lot of things that are happening in the church, even with some chaplains. But we wait for actions to be taken. It is not taken. Those of you who are in the senior leadership, you must make sure this is a military environment, that there must be punishment. Even in civilian churches, there are sanctions. Those of us who grow in the village, don't you know? When you commit offense, not before here they give suspension. And ambashi horoko, 6 months you will not do this, you will not do that, you will not do this. By the time you finish, they'll still come back here and say, okay, that person who we suspend 6 months ago, the suspension has now been there. He can now come back. It must be there. Him who God loves, he chastises. There's discipline in the house of God. God is not indisciplined. So if you are not disciplined, you can't even serve him. It takes discipline to just stand up and pray. If you say, I'm going to pray every 6 o'clock, it's only discipline that can make you to pray by 6 o'clock. So let's do that. Lack of empathy, poor understanding on the challenges and the pressure of troops and those that their families that they are under. Some of these things I've mentioned, they sound like a repetition, but you must understand, why is that soldier behaving like that? Why is this one not behaving like this? Maybe it is because of the oga he's serving with. Maybe it's because of where he served before he came here. Maybe because of a challenge he's having in his house. Try to have a conversation and understand the issue before you can be able to address it. So you must have empathy and understanding. And under what kind of pressure soldiers operate, because they are your flock. If you don't understand them, you won't know how to feed them. So what are the prospects that we have? What are the things that we have right now that will help us to improve in our ecclesiastical responsibility? Number one, very important. I think when they hear, sometimes they say, look, the money is there, it's just that the political will is not a political will. Will is very important. The will is very, very important. So right now, do we have the will? The answer is yes. If there was no will, this conference will not hold. The topic will not have been selected the way it was selected. So the first one, thank God, your leadership has the will. If there's no will, nothing else will matter. If a man does not will to do anything, you can't force him to do it. So the will is very, very important, willing leadership. And I'm very happy and proud that the current leadership is prepared and they have the will to do that. So it will make every other thing easy. Training. Review your training within the Nigerian Army and your very core schools. If your document for training that you're using 20 years ago is what you are still using, something's wrong. Because the environment that led people to provide, to articulate that training module 20 years ago, is the environment still the same? So what happens? We have to go back and update and review. So training, we must review training within and outside the army. Explore training outside the Nigerian Army. I just mentioned a few. I know that those who go to Living Faith, there's this Word of Faith Bible School, Bible Institute, WOFB, Rema Training Institution, and other online courses. Engage yourself. Look, the reason is not that they are superior or inferior. It's just that you want to do your job better. You want to do your job better. So you can do online courses. You can take 1 or 2 weeks when you are on leave. Go to a good Bible school and learn. And learn. Because the core cannot have everything. So what you can do is to outsource your time. Go and get that knowledge and bring it home. And fix your home. So you can take advantage of online courses, the schools, Bible schools, renowned Bible schools of other churches. Take advantage. Nobody is an island. You can't know everything. So take advantage of those schools and learn. Then code of conduct, do's and don'ts. When we enter any Protestant church in the Nigerian army, we want that Protestant church to be exactly like the other one. No differences, except that the chaplain is different. But the processes, the procedures must be different, must be the same. Must be the same, uniformity. So there must be do's and don'ts. There are certain things that chaplains cannot do. You are not a priest in the Catholic Church. You are not an imam. If we say this is a chaplain of the Protestant church, there's something that must be expected of you. There are things that you must do and you cannot do. That code of conduct must be institutionalized. It is with that we can use to measure whether people are meeting up or not. People are working consistent with the policies or not. Do's and don'ts must be clearly outlined. Reporting procedures. How do you assess? Do you write chaplain's PR? Do you feel PRs like other normal officers feel? The answer is no. The chaplain must speak to the MS so that we could include the peculiarities of your own environment in order to assess you properly. Otherwise, your greatest gifts will not be captured in the normal PR of Nigerian Army officers. So it is an area that the chaplaincy has to look at. Then, of course, report of the leadership. Report of leadership here, I mean that if you are the head, you are a chaplain and you have other officers or soldiers in the chaplaincy working with you, you must be able to provide a report that is not just PER. Because if he has a special skill, the PR you are writing for him cannot cover it. So you must be able to tell the headquarters that this boy, this soldier, this officer has some special skills. I think that we can use him in so and so place. Or we can send him for further studies in order to enhance that skill. There's also what we call 360-degree evaluation. Your leading people, the people who will know that you are a good leader, are those you are leading. There's a difference between a boss, a CEO, a commander, and a leader. What makes you a leader? Somebody said a leader is somebody who has the capacity to inspire people to work harder, give more, improve themselves, and do the right thing without being forced to do it. That is just by your style. Anytime you come to an environment, you work with people, the people just feel like being a better version of themselves. So you ask yourself, do you inspire that kind of thing in people? If you don't, you're a boss. You're a chief executive, you're an ogre, but certainly not a leader. Then there's what we call the Elders Forum. They just posted you to this church as a new chaplain. But there are retired officers and soldiers in that environment who have been attending that church for 20 or 30 years before you came. They know when this church was a mud house. They know when these steps were not there and why the steps were created. So what their value is anytime you want to do an improvement or a change, you have somebody who will give you the benefit of context, why the thing was done. And you also have people who can look at you, not your headquarters, and say, Chaplain, be careful with this area. This area is very, very delicate. So they serve as people who will give you counsel. They institutionalize customs and practices that are peculiar to that environment. That's the first. Then project continuity. Because chaplains come and go. But those people I'm talking about who live in that environment, they remain there permanently. We're here with the Ofoches. Is that not so? Some of them, when they started coming to this church, some of you were not born. Yes, I can assure you that. Over all the chaplains met them here. All the directors have met them here and left. There is information they have about this church that nobody here can give. And they are not afraid of you. They will be able to tell you the truth, which will help you. They are elderly, they are your parents. I'm not saying that they should interfere with your work, but you will always need the counsel of this, So they can also leverage. You can be a reverend, but you are working in an environment where the commander in that area is a very senior officer. And his attitude is not one that allows you to be able to have access to him freely. If you have a retired major general or brigadier general in that environment, who is a member of your church, he might be senior to your current commander. And you cannot reach the man. When you meet the man, that retired person, will you not have access to that general? What the man do not want to hear from your mouth, to hear your own side of the story? When you tell this elderly man, he will meet him, he will tell him, and he must hear. So you can use that as a problem-solving avenue. It will assist you a lot. It will assist you a lot. It will give you the opportunity to have your voice heard where your rank and your stature cannot allow you go. That is what I meant by here. Of course, it provides checks and balances to church leadership. When you come and you want to misbehave, those are the people that will say, no, Reverend, don't do that. Two Reverend, they go, we do like you, now so they end up. So you know that that's a sensitive place you should not touch. So, in conclusion, I want to say that both the theme and the topic for this presentation on this Jubilee, are not only well thought out, but are clearly suggestive and indicative of the willingness of the whole of the chaplaincy, Nigerian Army chaplaincy, to move this enterprise forward. It shows that there's a willingness and there's an enthusiasm right now that I believe the whole of the Army can support you. And it is based on that I decided to select some of the topics, not necessarily theoretical, but something we can have a conversation about. Hope that we have been able to relate and get some messages from here. There's nothing I've said today that is new. It's just that I've just reminded us so that if we have to discuss after now, it will enrich our conversation. Let me have my recommendations. Good. Extensive training. The headquarters should embark on extensive training of chaplains, taking advantage of every training facility to do that. Consider the use of auxiliary Nigerian Army chaplains. What do I mean? You can't be enough. The multiplicity of units, the commitments that we have. We cannot have everybody who is going to perform all those roles being from the chaplain. So can we find a way of, if a chaplains go to a particular unit and he doesn't have enough chaplain staff, perhaps from the unit you could pick up. I'm sure there was something like that in the past. Exactly. So consider develop a code of conduct. Apart from PR, I've talked about do's and don'ts. That's what I mean by a code of conduct. There's a way a chaplain must dress. There's a place a chaplain should not be found I think you get my point. There's a word that the chaplain cannot use. You list all, you make it very, very clear. So we don't leave it to anybody's discretion or application. Then ensure a realistic assessment of critiques for Nigerian Army chaplains. We should find a way. What is the feedback? Where I'm working, I'll say put suggestion box. Even you as a chaplain, something might be going on in that church. Some people will not have access to you. They are afraid. You must give them a back channel. If the headquarters wants to know what is happening in your chaplaincy, they should find a way of asking you. If they are not satisfied, they should find a way of getting that information from the chaplain. It will be helpful to you. A man who wants to come to equity or probity must come with exactly. So why are you afraid if we say we are going to check and make sure that you are doing the right thing? So ensure, of course, use of church elders forum is very, very important. If it's not there, you can create it. You can create it. Say, Mama, come. I heard that you have been coming to this church for a long time. Uncle or daddy, we heard that you have been here. Please, we want to set up a small elders forum in the church so that you can be helping us. You can be meeting anytime you want, but these are the things we want you to help us to do. You create it. It's very, very important. It helps you to have a 360-degree vision, to know what is going on, and it will help you to pick up speed very, very quickly. So, gentlemen, in the last 1 hour or thereabout, have I spent up to an hour? Okay. I've tried to, shed some light into a few of the practical aspects of what is expected of us as chaplains, and I hope that it has agitated your minds enough so that we can have a very beautiful interactive session. I thank you very much for your attention.
May we please give another round of applause for our esteemed guest lecturer.
Before he continues, this morning, when I was leaving my house, I was looking at my phone and somebody was trying to explain the importance of clapping. The importance of clapping. When they say you should clap, encourage your congregation to clap very, very well. If you clap for 15, 20 minutes every day, it's as helpful to your body as walking 2 kilometers. Let me explain why. Do you people know what they call acupuncture? Or hair? Or Chinese, they do that. They have nodal points on your body where the nerves are connected, so they put pins there in order to influence pain or feeling at that particular organ. Every organ of your body, the nerve ending is in your hand. Same thing with your feet. There are parts of your feet and your hand that somebody can massage for a few minutes and you feel the impact. So anytime you're clapping, you're actually massaging your body organs anytime you're clapping.
We want to appreciate our erudite guest lecturer for that useful information. And I will crave the indulgence of our esteemed guest lecturer to have a 2-minute leg stretch, which will also be institute for us to feel relaxed before the session. May we please be seated? May we please be seated? Our esteemed guest lecturer, sir, Major General H.T. Wesley, the Acting Director, Chaplain Services Protestant, Deputy Directors, Senior Officers both serving and retired, invited guests, participants of year 2023 Chaplain Protestant Annual Training Week, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. You can testify that for the last 45 to 50 minutes, we have listened to a well-delivered lecture by our erudite guest lecturer. This session, we entertain some questions for interactive session. And the topic of the lecture that has been delivered is the prospects of increasing the chaplain capacity for effective ecclesiastical responsibility. As a quick recap on the well-delivered lecture, he talked about an overview of the development of Nigerian Army Chaplain Services Protestant and the current social environment, while he also made us to understand why soldiers should attend Protestant churches and what a chaplain should be. He made us to understand that we are chaplains and our roles. Then the consequences and implications of the current social environment, which has made our pews empty, and also moral decadence in the barracks and the Protestant church as well. He also made us to know the challenges militating against our responsibilities as chaplains. And to cap it all, he talked about the prospects of Nigerian Army Chaplain Protestant Services, that we have willing leadership, the training and performance evaluation, as well as elders forum. Our esteemed guest lecturer, sir, please permit me to open the floor for questions. We allow 2 questions from the people by my right hand side, and 2 questions from participants from my left hand side. And later, the deputy directors will be allowed to also ask their questions or make contributions. And finally, I will humbly invite the director to sum up this section and make presentation to our guest lecturer. So please, if you have questions, can you just raise your hand? Questions? Yes. 1. Is there any other one from this side? 2 already. From this side? 1. Any other one? 2. Please give them the microphone.
Sir, the distinguished lecturer, sir, I am Sergeant Reverend Stephanus Shaibu. My own question is more of clearance. During your delivery, sir, in one of the points, as to why soldiers and family attend military churches in the barracks. You did mention in point 4 concerning easy mobilization, quoting the Yom Kippur War. The clearance there, sir, is should a priest haven't gotten an information, just pass it on without any proper procedure. I think that is my question, sir.
Thank you.